recording here. Vamos a grabar aquí. Muy bien. Vamos a practicar muchísimo con estos los verbos de verbos reflexivos y espero que tengamos más tiempo para algo más. I hope we have a little time left over for our lo practice at the end of class, but we'll see how much time we need. We should go at the pace that works for you guys, right? Not whatever I've got on paper. I do want to start with a kind of fun idea, which is not at all related to what really we're doing with the central thing today, but it's a fun lesson, a fun short lesson about filler words, which are actually super helpful to know about. So we're going to start with kind of a warm-up where you don't need to, you're going to get the link for this, so you don't need to take any notes. But these are kind of fun things for you to know how to use. And even if you decide, I won't use this, you will when you listen to people. When you hear people talking on the street, you will hear them use these kinds of words. They're called filler words in English, but Spanish calls them muletillas. Muletillas means crutches. And yeah, what do you use a crutch for? You use a crutch to hold you up when you got a little difficulty. Well, that's what these words do. And every language, well, I would think every language has them. We certainly have them in English. The word, yeah, all of that. Okay. Pueden ver. Give me an audio shout out if you can hear our guy, or you can see our guy here on the screen. See?
I can see him.
Yeah. Okay, vamos a empezar. We're going to begin. This is not related to our reflexive. It's totally unrelated, but it's a super useful and brand new video. So I think it's good for us to think about.
Do a question in Spanish. If you take too long to respond, they may switch to English. Now, the best way to avoid this problem is to use Spanish filler words. Now, filler words are words and sometimes sounds like, well, you know, etc. And what they do is they give the feeling that you're in the process of thinking about something. And so the next time someone asks you a question in Spanish, rather than pausing with silence, try to incorporate one or more of the following 15 Spanish filler words to show that you understand the question. You are just thinking about the answer. So firstly, we have the Spanish equivalent of In English, we say to fill the silence between words. And in Spanish, we have two options that are equivalent. We have and So instead of try to say M. For example, if you were daydreaming and someone is talking about bank accounts, you may want to come back and say, oh, sorry, yes, the joint accounts. Perdón, sí, las cuentas comunes. Perdón, sí, las cuentas comunes.
Perdón, sí, las cuentas comunes.
Or you are trying to decide between yes and no. Yeah, no, sí, no, sí, no.
Sí, no.
Next.
And that para que sepan, so you guys know, that is in Spanish the resting place for your mouth in that language. Like because it's very close to that schwa, that naughty schwa sound that we use all the time in English, right? That's the resting, like neutral resting place for your mouth in Spanish. And everybody uses it. So when you hear people talking and they're pausing to think between, to connect their ideas, that's a sound you're going to hear a lot, is either or M, putting an M in at the end of it. Okay.
Next we have pues and bueno. Now these can both play the role of well. For example, well, yes, you're right. Pues sí, tienes razón. Pues sí, tienes razón.
Pues sí, tienes razón.
Another example, well, that sounds good. Bueno, suena bien. Bueno, suena bien.
Bueno, suena bien.
Next on the list we have o sea or es decir. Now these two are basically interchangeable and they both mean that is to say, or in other words, or I mean. So for example, I mean, Chris is crazy and I love him that way, and that's it. O sea, Chris está loco y así lo amo y ya. O sea, Chris está loco y así lo amo y ya.
O sea, Chris está loco y así lo amo y ya.
Next we have a ver, which means in English, let's see, or let me see. So a situation where you could use this is when you are trying to make an appointment at the doctor. You might ask the receptionist, hey, is there an appointment available at 11 a.m.? And they might respond, they look in their computer, let's see. Yes, there's an appointment at 11. This in Spanish, a ver, sí, hay una cita a las 11. A ver, sí hay una cita a las 11. Next,
And the haber will always sound like haber, haber. It will never sound like a ver. It'll never be a V sound, right? Haber, haber. That ver, V-E-R, is going to sound like a very soft B, because it's a ver and the V is sandwiched between two vowels. So it's going to be a super soft B. A ver. Hey, let's see. You know, somebody's looking at their schedule or somebody's thinking about what they have to be doing next. A ver. Somebody asks you what you want from the deli and you still haven't made up your mind. You know, you're in line to order, it's your turn, and you got the two things on your list, but you think there's something you're forgetting and you pause to think, a ver, let's see, what else? A ver is very, very useful.
we have entonces and así que, and both can play the role of so. So for example, you might want to ask, so what do you want to do? Entonces, ¿qué quieres hacer? Entonces, ¿qué quieres hacer? Next on the list we have es que, which means the thing is, or it's just that. Now this is a good one to use just before saying something a little harsh or before an excuse. So for example, well, the thing is, one tends to waste one's time when young. Bueno, es que de joven se pierde mucho del tiempo. Bueno, es que de joven se pierde mucho del tiempo.
And that SK you do hear quite a lot too. SK, it's just that. When people use SK, they're going to give an explanation of some kind. And it may be, and what he said about kind of softening the blow, you know, making something sound not as harsh, not as bad, not as pounded down on somebody as they want. Yeah, that's when we use it. Es que, it's just that.
Bueno, es que de joven se pierde mucho el tiempo.
Now the next filler word, which is actually a question, is sabes. Now this works just like English. So for example, it's going to be impossible to finish by Friday. Do you know? Va a ser imposible terminar para el viernes. ¿Sabes? Va a ser imposible terminar para el viernes. ¿Sabes? Now next on the list is ya. Now ya is a complicated word and has a lot of different meanings. I'll have to dedicate a whole video to all of the uses of ya at some point, but for now, as a filler word, it can add emphasis. So for example, you could explain a series of misfortunes and then say, well, that's bad luck, huh? Ya es mala suerte, eh? Ya es mala suerte, eh?
Ya es mala suerte, ¿eh?
Now, I would imagine that some students will want more explanation on this example, and it's tricky. Now, I'll say this. If we compare ya es mala suerte and es mala suerte, there's not a big change in meaning here. In English, we might say, wow, it's bad luck, huh? Or it's really bad luck, huh? Where really or wow is like what ya is doing in Spanish. It's just adding a little bit more weight to the sentence. Now,
And that word ya is a kind of a complicated. Ya, when somebody says ya está, they're saying that's it. They're finished with you. Ya está. They're meaning that this is done. Okay, ya está. Ya is used in a lot of different situations. So good to you'll probably hear people saying it in conversation. You will hear ya.
my recommendation is to simply just practice this sentence. Ya es mala suerte, huh? And just practice parroting it word for word in its entirety. And this is a sentence that we could use in lots of situations, so just go and look for them and then try to use them when you're speaking Spanish. Now next we have mira and oye. Now these two translate well between English and Spanish. We have look or listen. So just when you're trying to get someone to pay attention to you, for example, you might want to ask for your partner's attention. Hey, honey, or listen, honey. Oye, amor. Oye, amor.
Oye, amor.
Another example. No, it's not like that. Come, look, I'll explain. No, no es así. Ven, mira, te explico. No, no es así. Ven, mira, te explico.
No, no, sí. Ven, mira, te explico.
Next we have venga and vale, which can both mean okay. Now I've told this story before on the podcast, and when I was in Spain, I overheard a woman finishing a phone conversation, and to finish the call, she just said, venga, vale, 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 venga, vale, venga, vale, vale, and then she hung up the phone. So you can think about the translation of this into English. How would one try to get off the phone at the end? You might say something in English like, yep, okay, yep, yeah, okay, yep, got it, yep, okay, okay, and hang up the phone. So you can think of venga and vale kind of like playing that role. Now, vale.
And the vale is super, super common in Spain. Vale is all the time. It's the okay word of preference in Spain. Vale. Yeah, vale is
Mostly only used like this in Spain, but it's not impossible to hear it in Latin America as well. Now, the key with these Spanish filler words is to use them in different combinations in your sentences and between your sentences. And as you can see from a lot of the examples that I use from TV shows and movies, that these words often get combined together. So next time someone asks you in Spanish, hey, what do you want to do tonight? ¿Qué quieres hacer esta noche? ¿Qué quieres hacer esta noche? Now, in responding to the question, while you were thinking, just throw in a couple of filler words to fill the silence. Pues, a ver. No lo sé. Sabes. Mira. Es que venga. A ver. Entonces, now of course I'm exaggerating here, but as you can see, they are useful for filling gaps between your sentences, and they make your Spanish sound really great while you are thinking about what you want to say next.
And so, okay, the important thing to know is whenever you hear those little videos with native speakers, they will use those kinds of phrases almost constantly. So it's good that you're listening for that, because even if you think, well, I'm trying so hard, I won't think about using a filler word as like another grammar lesson, you will hear people saying it. So that will be the, fill in the whole gaps for native speakers who are speaking to you. I want to point out one other little set of words from that video. Okay, aquí. Bien. Bien. He listed these two words, mira and oye. Mira is look. Okay, look. When you're asking for directions and you got your helpful map because you're going to miss some of the words they're telling you, and you need a visual to fill in those gaps when somebody's speaking to you. And somebody thinks that somebody explaining something to you and they think you don't understand, and they think they need to illustrate or to zero in on something, they will say to you, mira, look, mira, and they'll point to whatever it is they need to reference there. But you may hear it not as mira, you may hear it as a polite form. So this is what I want to show you now. Mira is the friendly tú form, but if you're just talking to somebody on the street with your map and they need to show you, what to zero in on that map, they may express it not in the tú form, but mire, going to the other vowel, not mira, but mire, look here. Ooh, look here on your map, mire, okay, bien. And this oye thing is sort of like saying, hey, meaning not you want somebody to look, but you want them to listen to you. So people will use this as a starter if they call someone on the street. Oye, hey. And really they're saying here, here. And of course, literally, that's not how we would use that. We would say, hey, you're calling to get somebody's attention. But that oye, again, is the tú form, oye. And if somebody's trying to get your attention on the street and they don't know you and they need to use the usted form to call your attention, and they're trying to say, listen up, Yeah. They're not going to use the oye form. It's going to sound a little bit different, quite a lot different. It'll sound like this, oiga. Oiga. People who are selling stuff on the street. Yeah, selling lotto tickets, selling anything, who are calling out to people, or people who need to get your attention. Listen up, hey, and they want to talk to you, is oiga. Oiga for the polite form. So, para que sepan, so you know, mire for the polite form, mira for the tú form. Oiga for the formal, polite form, oiga. Oye for the tú form. Okay, bien. And I'll send you the link to that. Okay. Vale. Bueno, vamos a empezar. We're going to start up with some of our reflexive practice, And you had some little sentences to work on. We want to do a little bit of warm up before we go to that. Reflexives just happen kind of all over the place. So we're going to do two little warm-ups. One for meaning, one for format. Yeah, yeah. One for kind of a vocabulary side. A ver, bueno, aquí vamos. Here we go. Por ejemplo, here's our meaning, our definition stuff. A veces me corto cuando. Sometimes I cut myself. Me afeito, me peino, me lavo el pelo con champú. A veces me corto cuando. Sometimes I cut myself when I do what? And you may have to do this one by process of elimination, but me peino is I comb my hair, the middle one. Me lavo el pelo would be washing my hair. Me afeito means
Shaving.
shaving.
Me afeito.
Cuando me afeito. Cuando me afeito. See? Yeah, because you should be careful with a razor. Yeah. Una navaja, a razor. Yeah. Cuando la profesora está cansada. When the teacher is tired. Se sienta, se peina, se despierta temprano. Cuando la profesora.
¿Se sienta?
Se sienta.
Se sienta. When the teacher is tired, she sits down. Es bueno descansar en una silla cómoda. It's good to sit. It's good to rest in a comfortable chair. Yeah. Se peina means combs the hair. Se despierta means wakes up early. Yeah, temprano. Cuando mi hermano oye su despertador. Despertador es alarm clock. Y oye es la acción de escuchar, ¿sí? Cuando mi hermano oye su despertador, se acuesta, se cierra los ojos, se despierta.
Cierra los ojos. No, acuesta.
Se fue. Despierta.
Acostarse es go to bed.
Oh.
Cerrar
Cierra
los ojos es, ¿sí?
Despierta. Open his eyes.
Se despierta, se despierta. And that word despertador, alarm clock, comes from despertarse. They are linked words, yeah? When my brother hears his alarm clock, he wakes up. He wakes up, right? He doesn't go to bed, se acuesta. He doesn't close his eyes. What he does is, if he does, his alarm clock is not doing the job. Okay. En vez, a veces, sí, sometimes we all do that. Yeah, your alarm clock goes off, you close your eyes anyway. En vez de divertirse esta noche, Luis, en vez de, instead of, meaning we're looking for an opposite, yeah? En vez de divertirse, instead of having a good time, Luis We've got se reúne con sus amigos, limpia el inodoro. Inodoro is toilet. Se pelea con su mejor amigo.
Yeah,
Limpia
limpia el inodoro.
Limpia el inodoro bien. Sí, yeah. Chores are not fun. Los quehaceres no son divertidos. Yeah, chores are not fun. Se reúne means get together. So instead of having fun, he gets together with friends. That doesn't make any sense. And he fights with his best friend. What if you were to choose that? Yeah, actually, there are two correct answers because I thought actually that makes sense too. Instead of having fun, he fights. Pelearse is fight. Argument kind of fight. Well, could be a fist fight too, but hopefully it wouldn't be that. Okay. Antonio está enfermo porque Antonio está enfermo porque Antonio is sick because se divierte con sus amigos, no se pone una chaqueta en el invierno, se baña todos los días.
No se pone.
una chaqueta en el invierno.
Sí, se pone una chaqueta. No se pone una chaqueta. He does not, keep warm. He doesn't wear a jacket in the winter. Catch a cold, yeah. Oh, this goes back a bit. This is dating it. Wow. Young people wouldn't know this anymore. Si Jerry Seinfeld or Kramer dicen un chiste, if those guys tell a joke, nosotros nos preocupamos mucho, nos reímos mucho.
Nos reímos
Mucho. Reímos.
We laugh, yeah. Ellos son cómicos, they're comedians, they're funny guys. So when they tell a joke, we laugh. Reírse es to laugh, ¿sí? Cuando llego a la clase, when I get to class, me siento, me quito la ropa, me despido de la profesora.
Me siento.
Me siento.
Me siento. I sit, when I get to class, I sit down. Me quito la ropa, take off all my clothes. Gee, I hope not, because you'll get turned on. Me despido is I say goodbye. Despedirse is another verb, and we're going to reserve some time to take a look at a long list where you're going to choose some things off the list. Despedirse is to say goodbye. The opposite of saludarse, say hello to somebody, greet. The opposite of greeting, saludarse, is despedirse. And pedir is in the middle of despedirse. So it's me despido, like pido un almuerzo, I order lunch. Despedir takes the same conjugations as pedir, because it's built on that verb pedir. Despedir. Ok, vale. Después de ducharme, after showering, después de ducharme por la mañana, me seco con una toalla, me pongo en pijama, me baño.
The first, me seco con una
Me
toalla.
seco. Secar es to dry, okay? Secar los platos, drying the dishes, pero secarse is to dry yourself off, right? See? En inglés usamos dry yourself off. Dry off. Nobody says I dry with a towel, do they? In English, no, I dry off. And you have to know, this is one of those phrasal things in English, dry off. You know, you fall down, you get up, you dry off. So English uses a lot of these little prepositions, and the reflexive does this for you. Me seco, I dry off. Con una toalla, with a towel. Mi profesora se enoja conmigo porque, se enoja, gets mad with me, gets mad at me. ¿Por qué? Because me despierto tarde para la clase, no me afeito, me acuesto.
Me despierto.
para la clase.
Me despierto tarde, sí, sí. Necesitas comprar un despertador. You need to buy a new alarm clock. Eso sí. Y cuando estoy en la clase de español, yo siempre me duermo, me divierto, me aburro.
Me divierto.
Me divierto is your goody two shoes answer, right? Yeah, sí. Me aburro. Me aburro would mean I get bored. I get bored. Aquí me duermo. Wow, I had people who actually did that with me. Certainly not here, but teenagers. And sometimes it really wasn't because they were bored. Sometimes it was because teenagers, you'd be amazed how much they sleep during the day. It's well, for a variety of reasons, anything ranging from growth to just I partied all night to I played video games all night. There you go. Aquí vamos. Bueno, okay, so there's our meaning thing. I'll send you that little link. It's a good thing to check out. Y bien. We're going to do now not the meaning side of it, but the mechanics, meaning the can you match up the pronoun with a form of a verb practice. And I'll send this to you as well. This is a site where you have to actually tell it to start. I think it's set for a 5-minute timer. This will include, I have not figured out how to tell it to get rid of the vosotros forms. So if they do a vosotros form here, I will fill in for you because you guys are not used to that. Latin America does not use vosotros. Tú with poner, put on, like sunscreen or clothing. Tú with ponerse. This is just a conjugation thing. We need a pronoun and the verb.
Ponerse. Okay.
Ponerse, we need to conjugate ponerse for tú. So we need a
Tú pones.
okay. Te
Tú
pones. Te pones. Bien. And I'll show
pones.
you, I'll give you the link to this so you can do this on your own. Okay, bien. Yo with despertarse. Which little pronoun do you need for yo?
Me despierto.
Me despierto. I wake up. Eso es. Sí, bien. And the opposite, I fall asleep. Not just I sleep, I fall asleep. Dormirse, yo.
Me duermo.
Me
duermo. I brush, and it could be your hair, it could be your teeth. We don't really know because we don't have the context of the answer yet. But yo
me cepillo.
me cepillo. Me cepillo. Bien. Usted dormirse. You fall asleep. It's the polite you. Usted. We can't use me.
Say,
Se duerme. Se duerme. Se duerme. This one, asombrarse is to be astounded, to be surprised. Os, asombráis. Bien, okay, we're going to skip the vosotros and we're going to, Os despertáis. You can just see what they do with that. Merecerse is to deserve something. Yeah, merecerse. Se merecen. Se merecen. Secarse, dry off. Tú. Secas. Bien. Okay. Ducharse. Yo.
me ducho.
Me ducho. Darn, they did it. Vosotros sanas, sentís. Bien. Sentirse is not like sentarse, para que sepan, so you know. Sentarse with an AR is sit down, right? Sentirse is to feel a certain way, happy, sad, worried, whatever the feeling is. Sentirse, okay? It is, and it sounds just like sentarse, except it uses EIR endings, yeah? Okay, yo, divertirse, have a good time.
Divertido.
Me
Divertido.
divierto. It's got a stem change. You've got that extra thing you have to remember. Me divierto. Okay, sentarse. Now you do have the sit down word. Yo
Me
siento.
siento.
me siento,
Me
me
siento.
siento. Bien. Enfadarse is a Spanishism. Wow. Enojarse is what they use in Latin America more. Enfadarse means the same thing. It means get mad. So, Ángel y yo, it's got to be a nosotros kind of form.
Nos
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 enfadamos.
enfadamos. Nos enfadamos. En Latinoamérica es, en vez de enfadarse, es nos enojamos, nos enojamos. Enojarse es igual a enfadarse. Okay, they are two verbs that mean the same thing. It's just that one is used more in Europe and one is used more in Latin America. Oh yeah, bien. Okay, bien. And it is giving us, it's logging us off. So I'll give you a little link to that. It's kind of fun to test yourself. Okay, a ver. Bueno, vamos a ver. I do want you to practice in some smaller groups with these items, and you're going to see them, but I want you to take them. Oh, I think the first 5, the first 5. So I'm going to make my screen a little bigger so that when you get to the breakout room, you can see. Ooh, demasiado too big. A ver, okay. Vamos a ver. So here's what you're going to practice. I don't want you to get ahead of it. I want you to just use the first 5. And you'll see number 5 when I scroll the instructions off. I just want to make sure that you know the instructions are. Some of these are answer questions. Some of them are finish the sentence. Okay, and they're using verbs that you might hear. These are the ones that are not traditionally, you may not think, ooh, this is not like the I sit myself down, I put this on my body like sunscreen. These are verbs that are reflexive, but they may not seem like the I'm doing it to myself kind of thing at all, because sometimes they're not. But these are reflexives that are used quite a lot. So finish the idea or answer the question, it depends. See, we've got fijarse, to notice, and this is used a lot, kind of like we use mira, kind of like people use mira to say look. Somebody might say look, but they really want you to pay attention, and fijarse makes that a little more emphatic. So think of fijarse as like saying mira, look. Right? But fijarse means you're really paying attention to something. Somebody wants you to really notice something and really check it out closely. Okay. Cuando llego a un lugar nuevo, me fijo primero en. When I get to a new place, and I define that as a city or a place, a public place, whatever. What I notice first is, I notice something first, and you're going to talk about what it is you notice. Okay. So you're going to do that first, and then siguiente, next, you're going to change fijarse to talk about mis hijos. And when you change fijarse for mis hijos, change it and say what they notice first. Right? Because what kids notice first is not always what us older folks, adults, notice first. So fijarse, okay? Enojarse, to get mad, to get angry. This is the pairing up we saw with the other similar verb for Spain. It's enfadarse. Pero aquí en Latinoamérica se dice enojarse. This is the favored get mad verb for Latin America. Creo que la gente se enoja cuando. I think people get mad when, boom, 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 fill in a situation. Okay. And then when you're done with that, change it to make enojarse for a yo form and talk about I get mad when, something happens. Okay. Darse cuenta de, to realize something. This is a verb that means to realize. There is a verb in Spanish that is realizar. It does not mean realize at all. Realizar, what you think should mean realize, means that somebody actually accomplishes something or gets it done, gets it finished. So if you want to say to realize, you need 3 words. And the cuenta de always stays cuenta de. What you're using is dar, give, in a reflexive form with the extra 2 words, cuenta de. So cuenta de never gets conjugated because those aren't verbs. Yeah. But darse, you will conjugate. So, los adolescentes no se dan cuenta de. Teenagers don't realize that, boom, 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 something. Okay. Siguiente. Change it to talk about one person, not los adolescentes, but just one person. Okay.
Marilyn?
Sí.
I'm having a little trouble with
This one?
Well, no, I think if I were to be honest, it would be a lot of it.
Okay.
But dar is helping me realize that I'm understanding a little bit now, I guess. So
Okay.
you change it, Don.
Me doy, te das, se da.
Because you conjugated it back to.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Does
you.
that help? Does that help?
Yeah.
Now, it's good that you brought this up. Many English speakers really struggle with this darse cuenta de. They struggle. This is a typical thing for people to have trouble with, okay? So know that we just worry about the darse part. Yeah. And the yo one is really weird, right? Because remember the yo form is doy, not do. It can't be me do. Me do, nobody will know what you're talking about. Me doy, yeah. But dar is regular for everything outside of the yo form. Te das, se da, se dan. It's a regular AR verb for the rest of those. And the just cuenta de just follows along. Okay, those words have to group together. So, okay, bien. Callarse, to be quiet. Literally, it means to silence yourself. We might say, very inelegantly, to shut up. But, you know, the kids shut up when the kids are quiet when. Shut up has in recent years been deemed to be a very rude thing to say, and we're encouraged not to say it anymore in polite company. But keep quiet, be quiet. That is, of course, fair game. So nos callamos cuando. We get quiet when. Okay. And siguiente. Next, you're going to change callarse to talk about a group of people, whoever they might be, my kids, my grandkids, my neighbors, my dogs, lo que sea, whatever they might be. Y cansarse, to get tired. Cuando te cansas? When do you get tired? Cuando te cansas? Think about a way to answer that question. And I'm going to give you an example of each of these. I said it's great. It's great that you told me you're struggling with little. I'm going to give you an example of each of these, 1 through 5. Okay. But the way you'll change the te cansas, before I forget about that, is siguiente. Change it to talk about nosotros. So you'll just say, how do we conjugate cansarse for nosotros? Okay. Vale.
Marilyn,
sí.
on cansarse,
Sí, sí.
is it like getting tired of something happening, or is it just getting tired, like without any, it could be any reason for just getting tired?
Anything at all. Anything at all. I'll give you 2 examples of that. I'm going to do an example of each one of these. Okay. And it's good that you said you found these a little bit hard, Lisa. We'll take a look at these. Okay. Por ejemplo, I'm going to take a look at this and give you my example for fijarse. Cuando llego a un lugar nuevo, me fijo primero en las tiendas. When I get to a new place, I notice the stores first. Cuando llego a un lugar nuevo, me fijo primero en las tiendas. I notice the stores. Okay. Vale. Por ejemplo, con enojarse. Creo que la gente se enoja cuando... creo que la gente se enoja cuando hace mucho calor. When it gets really hot. Like outside, right? Okay. Bien. People who are cranky because of the heat? Yeah. Darse cuenta de. Los adolescentes no se dan cuenta de... esto sí es difícil. This one is hard. This requires some work. If you struggle with this one a little bit, don't worry about it too much. Los adolescentes no se dan cuenta de la importancia de la educación. No se dan cuenta de la importancia de la escuela. I am going to put that in so you have kind of a model. And you might change, you might keep the la importancia de la escuela, or la importancia, but you might just change up this word. So I'll give you a little boost for that one. Es difícil, that one's tough. Callarse. Nos callamos cuando. Nos callamos cuando vamos a un concierto. We are quiet when we go to a concert. Okay. Cuando te cansas? Wow, vale, bueno. Me canso después de, here's the easiest way. Me canso después de montar en bici. 15 millas. I get tired after biking 15 miles. Now, I think you're not likely to maybe use that sentence. That's why I use something, yeah? Me canso después de montar. Después de with a verb. That is the easiest way. Después de and a not conjugated verb. After doing something. I get tired after doing something. There is a different way you can use me canso with a reason, right? We're talking about when you get tired. Me canso And I'll show you the other structure you may choose to use, maybe. Me canso cuando, me canso cuando son las 11 de la noche. I get tired when it's 11 o'clock. You might
Okay,
use,
that's kind of like why I asked my previous question, and I'm just looking at the structure you use. You're using son las once as opposed to, which I just kind of guessed, a las once.
yeah. So when do you get tired? You might answer after doing something. That tells when. Or you might say when something happens. The when something happens is harder to use because now I have a mini sentence I attached to the end. Yeah. A mini sentence. The mini sentence could.
Can you just use I get tired, at a time?
At a time works. See, you could also just say me canso a las 11. A las 11, at 11, sure. You could answer it with a time. So this one in particular has a lot of different ways, directions it can go. Yeah, you could just give a time. You can say when it's a time, when something happens, when I do something. Me canso cuando me lavo el carro. I get tired when I wash the car. An activity made you tired. Yeah. See, so this has many different ways, many different directions it can go.
Una pregunta, por favor.
Sí, dime.
If you would put on there, I get tired when it rains. Do you have to use le or la in there? Cuando it rains.
When it rains is one word. Llueve.
Llueve. It's one word.
It's one word. We don't ever say the word it when we express the idea of it rains.
Yeah.
It snows, it rains. We don't, the verb by itself does that job. And they don't use the word it at all.
Thank you.
Bien. Okay. A ver.
Marilyn, I was on that number 5. I was trying to do, I thought I was supposed to be like asking this question. So I said, cuando te cansas, acostas a cama? Acostas a cama? When you get tired, do you go to bed? Is that a way to answer? How would you say that?
What's the more common way to say go to bed? It's acostarse. It's yet another reflexive.
Right. So
Me
it'd be-
acuesto. Me acuesto.
Okay.
I go to bed. Yeah. See? Bien.
But if I was asking the question, when you get tired, do you go to bed? So cuando te acostas a cama?
Cuando te cansas, te acuestas. Te acuestas. You just tack that on to the end. Sí.
Okay.
If you finish it off as a question. Sí se puede. Yes, you can do that too. Okay. A ver. Bueno. I am going to send you off into some smaller groups to work that for a good 7-8 minutes, I think. Creo que sí. Bien. Vamos a ver. Okay. Bueno, and I will send the questions to the room so you can see them if you don't have it up on your computer. Okay, you should see your join button. And I need to get my share button on. Bueno, tengo que poner una alarma. Alarma. Where is my little alarm? Es mi reloj. Necesito mi reloj. I need my watch. Ay, eso no. Vale, bueno. This might have been a little bit harder exercise than I had originally thought of when I thought this up, but the point is to put these in context. And so using the reflexive word and connecting it with a situation that makes sense of that reflexive activity, that reflexive verb. Really putting the word in the context of a full idea, not just conjugating it in a bunch of different forms. That is the tough thing to do sometimes. So we'll see if people can give some good examples here. And sometimes we have to kind of dive off the deep end a little bit. So probably what we're doing today, and that's okay. Vale, bueno. Está bien. Ok, aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Ok, fantástico. Bueno, ¿hay alguna pregunta? ¿Hay unos buenos ejemplos que ustedes quieren compartir? Any good examples that you guys want to share? Marcos.
Well, first, necesitamos más tiempo.
Más tiempo. Ok, gracias. Muchas gracias. Iba a pedirles información de eso. I was going to ask you for information about that, but sí, okay. Vale, bien. Okay. Buenos ejemplos. Any good examples or any questions about how you didn't quite know how to piece it together?
That helped. That's all I can say. It helped to go over it.
Okay, so it helped to do the little preview stuff, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything.
Vale, we'll do that with the second half as well. Está bien, that's okay. That's always okay to ask for that. Okay, bien. And the point of doing that, and this was a little bit of a deep dive, a little bit of a harder thing to do. But the really important thing to start to get used to is not just conjugating the verb a gazillion times, but rather taking that idea of that action and fleshing it out with how would I really say something that we use in conversation. Yeah. Because we talk about when we get tired. We talk about my dumb kids don't realize that. Wait, don't you? Just see, I do. So, these are things that people really, really do use. Okay. Otro ejemplo. Any other example there you want to share or no? No? Not? Okay. Let's do
No,
a quick.
but when you start now with number 6, I kind of just want to say this. Encontrarse, it seems like it has about 26 meanings now.
Yes, it
Because
can.
I looked back because it sounded familiar. A few weeks ago, you had told us about using it kind of like, how are you? How do you feel?
Like, how are you? Eso sí. Yes, yes. So, Marcos, I knew it was going to be you who's going to notice that. That's a good thing.
I'll tell you why. Because I tried using it with the ladies that come in and kind of clean our house every couple of weeks.
¿Cómo
And
te
I didn't
encuentras?
quite get it right. I didn't get it right as a reflexive, but she kind of reminded me. And so now it's in my head that's a how do you feel? How are you?
¿Cómo te encuentras? How are you? Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of ways. And really the same thing happens to us in English. So people learn English. How are you? I am fine, thanks. But look at what happens in English. How are you? What are you doing? What's up? How's it going? How's your day? So even in English, we change things up a lot. And because people, are going to do what people do, which means they change things up a lot, you'll hear all those variations in Spanish too. And como estás might become ¿qué tal? Very informally. Or ¿qué tal tu día? How's your day going? Or ¿cómo te va? How's it going for you? ¿Cómo te encuentras? How do you find yourself this fine day? Yeah. So because people change things up all the time, we have to be prepared for all these little pockets of it goes off this way, that way, that way, that way. This is what happens. Yeah. Yeah. ¿Cómo te encuentra? Encontrarse does have a number of meanings. So we took the easiest one of how you doing. ¿Cómo te encuentras? But we're going to take a look at the next iteration here. Yeah. So, but notice, here is how it is different from ¿cómo te encuentras? Encontrarse con. There are different ways to say get together. Get together in Spanish might be encontrarse con, to meet up with. Because encontrar by itself is to find, right? to find yourself with somebody, yeah. Encontrarse con. You're right. It has many meanings, Marcos. It does. But meeting up might be reunirse. That also reflexive verb. It might be juntarse, to get together with, also a reflexive verb. So what we wanted to do was to practice encontrarse again, but with that little word con tagged on. So nos same as reunirse, to get together with. Nos encontramos con nuestros vecinos en, or maybe donde. So you might say you get together with somebody in a place, or in, or well, donde, meaning where. Yeah, you got to insert a place. Yeah. Nos encontramos con nuestros vecinos en. Okay, I'm going to give you our example here. Nos encontramos con nuestros vecinos en la fiesta del 4 de julio. We get together with our neighbors at the 4th of July party. Yeah. So you're going to name a place, an event, whichever, lo que sea. Y siguiente, next, change it up, switch it off to talk about yo. I get together with. And remember, with this one, we need a little extra magical word, that word con, which means literally with. Okay, bien. Okay.
Could it also be not just Sunday, where, but like at a time?
You could, sí, es posible, sí, sí, bien. Okay, bueno, quedarse, to stay in a place, can mean just, usually for lodging, you know, wherever you're not living in your home, you're at a different place. So usually in that context. Cuando viaja a lugar. So you're going to name a place. So we'll put in here, lugar, place. You need to plug in a place. Cuando viajo a, por ejemplo, sí, cuando viajo a Michigan, sí, me quedo con mi hermana. When I travel to Michigan, I stay with my sister. But you might name a hotel. You might name, you know, lo que sea, whatever it is, place that you stay. See? But we have to plug in this place here. So you have to plug in a place here. Cuando me quedo en. Ooh, wants to do English on me. En. Okay. A ver. Vale. And siguiente, change it up to ask someone. How would we change this to turn it into a question when you're asking somebody directly? So you're going to change this statement of fact here into a question. See? And you're going to ask, ¿Dónde? Where do you stay? Where do you stay? Right? You'll need the where word. So we'll put our ¿Dónde? Word in there to give you the prompt. Okay. Dedicarse a. And this one you have less to do with because you generally hear it in the question and not always in the answer. And I'll show you why. Dedicarse a is something somebody will use if they're making small talk with you when they ask what you do for a living. Okay, so literally this sounds kind of weird. You dedicate yourself to something. Okay, we would not express it that way in English ever at all. You dedicate yourself to something, but that is literally how that verb translates. ¿A qué te dedicas is just a question you should learn. ¿A qué te dedicas? What do you do for a living?
Dedicas. Okay.
And when you answer that question, you won't answer it all the time with me dedico. You might, but you know, somebody may answer, soy ingeniero. I'm an engineer. They'll say, I am, and they'll tell what they do. They might say, me dedico. I dedicate myself to the study of blah, 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 blah. You know, they might do something like that. But the main thing is to learn how to ask that question. And this is even valid if you're asking people who are retired, because in their retirement, they might spend most of their time doing some kind of a hobby. And the a que te dedicas opens it up not just to a job, but to whatever it is that you do a lot of if you don't work a job. Okay. It also is not taken as an embarrassing question to ask if somebody does not have a job. If someone is jobless, meaning they really need a job, but they don't have one, a que te dedicas can just ask what they generally do when they are working, when they do have a gig. Yeah, maybe that person doesn't have a gig going on right now.
Marilyn,
See,
is this sort of socially acceptable in the past tense if you know someone is retired already?
oh yeah, you could put this in the past too. Like, what did you used to do? Like,
Would it be, I mean, would you just dedicarse becomes dedicaste? Or
sí, se puede. Me imagino que sería mejor. I think this would be better in imperfecto para que sepas, so you know. Te dedicada, sí. Creo que sí. I think so. What did you used to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sí. But it could be pretérito. It could. Es posible, sí. Okay. Bien. Apurarse, to hurry up. Here's another one of those odd phrasal verbs in English. We need this word up. You don't say hurry out, hurry in. Oh, maybe hurry into a building. Okay, maybe, but hurry up. Yeah, apurarse, apurarse. And it is a very, very regular verb. So this is just give you an idea of, here's another common reflexive verb. Apurarse. Me apuro porque. Me apuro porque. Un ejemplo, an example, because we're getting an example of all these. Me apuro porque me apuro porque ya son las 9. It's already 9. Wow, you're looking at the time, but you might want to say it's late, I'm late, I have an appointment, I missed my ride, my car doesn't work. Yeah, I don't have a car. I'm in a hurry because I haven't got a car. There are lots of different ways you can finish this up. Un ejemplo, me apuro porque ya son las 9. It's I'm in a hurry because it's already 9. Yeah, see? Bien. Me apuro. I'm in a hurry. Siguiente, you will change it up to use apurarse to talk about somebody else, one person, okay? Somebody's in a hurry because of something else. Animarse is to cheer up, literally to animate yourself, to rev yourself up. Animarse is revving yourself up, and that means cheer up, take heart. Yeah, that kind of idea. Nos animamos cuando. Nos animamos cuando. Nos animamos cuando llega el viernes. When Friday comes around. When it's Friday. Cuando es viernes. When it's Friday. When Friday comes, cuando llega el viernes. When it's Friday, cuando es viernes, we cheer up when it's Friday because the weekend is coming. See? Bien. Pam, 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 pam. Siguiente.
When
Change it.
it's-
And change it to talk about yo. Yeah. Bien. Y, perdón, pregunta, question?
Yeah, you can use el viernes or es viernes.
Well, when Friday arrives. So let's make it easier for you. And we're going to give you this because that's easier to use. It's Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Llega el viernes would kind of be when Friday rolls around, when Friday comes around.
Mhm.
Así, yeah, bien. We'll give you the easier way to keep that in mind for you. Y enfermarse. Enfermo, sick, enferma, if you're describing yourself and you're a female, sick. But to get sick is enfermarse. ¿Sí? Enfermarse. Me enfermo cuando. Me enfermo cuando. Me enfermo cuando. I get sick when. Cuando mis nietos están resfriados. When my grandkids have colds. When they have a cold. Cuando mis nietos están resfriados. We all get sick when those kitties in the house get sick. Yeah. Bien. Siguiente. Change it to talk. Change it, meaning enfermarse, to talk about a group of people instead of yo. Me enfermo. Me enfermo. Bien. Okay. I want to make sure I have all of those centered properly. And you need a little more time, ¿verdad? Yeah, sí, 10 minutes. That te dedicas will need the least amount of time. You're just making a question and not changing it up. Notice that. So the dedicarse one is the shorty of the group there. Bien, and I'll make sure I give you a little more time. Uy, a ver, ¿dónde está? Here's my breakout room button. Okay. Vale. Bueno. Okay, 2 minutos. We won't have as much time for follow-up, but. Carry on with this next week. We will come back and see what kind of questions people had coming out of that practice section. Okay. A ver, ¿dónde están? ¿Dónde están? ¿Dónde están? We should have folks coming on back really, really soon. Pronto. Yes, 10 seconds left on the break room. It was timing it better than I was. Bueno, aquí vienen. Here comes everybody. Excelente. Yeah, this was this really kind of makes you stretch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ya llegó la hora. Wow, we're up to 11 o'clock here. I just want to see if you had any questions on how we did this, and then I'm going to prep you for what we're doing next week. So, alguna pregunta? Anything you didn't quite know how to piece it together, or? Nada. Un buen ejemplo. No? Bien? Was that a little bit easier than the first time around?
Yeah, maybe.
Sí.
Un poquito, a little bit. Yeah. Sí. Bien. Okay. Vale. Here's what I'm going to show you. Actually, a couple things, because as usual, I did not get to everything I wanted to do, but that's okay. Studying. I'm going to preview what I want you guys to kind of prep for next week. And this is going to be a very personalized kind of thing. You're going to get this page, and it's how intimidating is it to see 100 posts? Oh my God. I do not want. Now, here's the thing. I do not want you to think I'm going to memorize all these 100 verbs. If you're really that ambitious, well, you just go for it. But this is to show you, I thought, oh, the most common. That's what I was looking at. Oh, the most common. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a look at these, and, don't think you're going to memorize them all, because that's not a realistic thing. There are going to be some things you automatically throw out from this 100 list. And please do. Some things you're not going to need. Okay? If you're a woman and you say, I don't really need this shave thing, well, then fine, get rid of it. Oh, you don't do any extreme sports? Atreverse, throw it out. Yeah, okay, bien. You think it's just hideous to mock people? This is to mock. Throw it out. Okay, bien. So why am I giving you this list? I want you to pick 10 verbs off this list that personally are things you would use. Probably would want to use. Pick any 10 at all. It could be one we use this week. It could be something else that we started with, but pick any 10 off of that list and make up a little, and like focus on knowing what those verbs mean and make some examples of 5 to 7 of those, but pick 10 off the list, make 10 examples if you want, but something short and sweet. Yeah. I guarantee you, conformarse con is not going to be on your list because you're not going to use that 24/7. I don't know how that makes the most common list, but it did. Yeah. This should not be on your top 10 list, but there are going to be 10 things in there that make sense for you as, oh, these are things I would actually use, and pick them and make a little example. And there you go. The other thing we're going to do, because we did not get time to, is this. We did not get time to get back to this little listening video. I'm going to send you with this video again, but you're going to have an accompanying, because I did not think this through as well as I probably should have last week. There is a little takeaway I want you to have from this video on a really super easy snippet, and that little snippet is with the word lo or with lo que. I'm going to give you a little learning lesson, and it is going to be super easy with examples. And so look at that little example of how we use lo and lo que, and go back and listen to that video again. And why he uses those little combinations of words of lo with a description and lo que is going to make more sense. Okay, so I'm going to send you actually a little learning packet with that. Also a little learning packet because he uses a few vocabulary words about Alicante, and so we're going to give you a little background on what Alicante is and why he refers to las hogueras, and a couple little vocabulary words that maybe didn't make sense to you, even if you had the closed captions turned on. So a little cultural muletilla, a little crutch, and a little thing to listen to it. It's a great to listen to again when you know why he's using lo and lo que, which is really the point of that video. So, bien, all good?
Yeah.
Okay. Bien. Okay. Vale, fantástico. So a little bit, you're going to personalize your reflexive verbs for next week, and we're going to take a little look at this lo and lo que. And I should preface it with saying when lo does not mean it. When lo does not mean it. Because we throw it into little phrases, and that's the key. Okay. Todo bien. Sí. Espero que todo vaya bien para ustedes, que todo les vaya bien. I hope everything goes well for you this week. Sí, bien. Y
Gracias.
de nada. Fue un placer. It was a pleasure. Sí. Y cuídense. Take care. Cuídense. Hasta luego.